What's going on, guys? My name is Joe. I run a small pressure washing company called Joe Allen Pressure Washing LLC, based out of Jacksonville, Florida. I just started my business March 1st of this year, and so far I've made just above $4,000 in revenue, which blows my mind, right? My goals were not that high, so I'm very happy about that, but we're not here to really talk about that in this video. I can do videos about that if you want, but we want to talk about the Downstream injector, also called a chemical injector, how to use it, what it's used for. A lot of people message me and ask me about it, how to use it, how does it work, all that stuff. And essentially, this is a very important tool, especially when you're starting out and you can't afford a whole soft wash system. I can't afford that yet, so this is mainly what I use to wash houses, and I even do concrete work with it as well. But this is a very important tool. Okay, it attaches to your pressure washing machine, and there's different sized ones according to the gallons per minute on your machine. I have a 2.8 gallon machine right now, so it's a starter machine, and you don't really need the 4 gallons per minute, 8 gallons a minute machines right when you're starting off. I mean, if you can afford it, then definitely do that, but I couldn't afford it, so I don't have that stuff yet. But that doesn't mean you can't start a business and you can't start making money. So without further ado, let's start talking about it. Why do you want to use it? So before I got the chemical injector, I was using a pump up sprayer, which you can definitely use if you can't afford to get one of these injectors, which from my local pressure washing store, I think they were about $45. It's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. It speeds up the process a lot. Obviously, the pump up sprayer works, but if you're doing a large house or a driveway, it is very time consuming, and you end up losing money because you could be doing other jobs while you're doing that same job. So like I said, I did use the pump up sprayer at first, just for like 1 or 2 houses, and I learned my lesson and I went and bought the chemical injector. Anyway, the chemical injector allows you to spray chemicals on whatever surface you're intending to clean. It's called a downstream injector because it's downstream of your pressure washing pump. You don't want to put chemicals in your pump. You want only clean water to go through your pump, so your pump will continue to operate how it should. Especially because in the pressure washing business, we're using mainly bleach or chlorine, also known as SH or sodium hypochlorite. It is highly corrosive substance, so it will destroy everything it touches, essentially. So that's why we want to put this attachment downstream of the pump. Now, the piece, it has a tube, right? There's a nipple that comes off with a tube and a filter at the end. That you will drop that into a 5-gallon bucket or some kind of object that holds liquid, whatever you want to put it in. It could be a 5-gallon bucket, it could be a 100,000-gallon bucket, it doesn't matter. So you attach this at the end of your pump where you would normally put your high pressure hose for your pressure washing gun. Instead of putting the gun straight into the machine, you put this in and then plug your gun into the injector, and then you simply drop the tube into your bucket of mix, your cleaning solution, which is what I like to say to my clients, because when people hear bleach, it might raise some issues and they might question you further. So just say my house washing solution, right? If they ask what's in the solution, just say it has surfactants, soaps, and other compounds used to effectively treat the organic growth on your house. So if they want to ask more questions, I guess you could tell them. A lot of people don't really mind, but there are some people that don't really like it. But anyway, they'll smell it whenever you're cleaning anyway, so then you could tell them. But anyway, with that being said, that's essentially how it works. I mean, you just plug it in. Then you plug your high pressure hose to the other end of it, drop that tube in a bucket of solution, and you're good to go. It takes a couple seconds for the chemical injector to inject the mix into the pressure line to come out of your gun, so it's not going to come out right away. And make sure when you're done using it, you do run clean water through it. Like, you drop that line into a bucket that has clean water just to get out all the bleach or chemical mix that you use. That way it doesn't corrode it as bad or damage anything. So make sure you always do that with anytime you're using bleach. You want to flush out the systems. With that being said, I mean, I guess we could talk about how to batch mix a little bit, right? So like for me, I use a 10.5% SH that I get from the local pool store. I usually use a 5-gallon bucket. I drop the tube in the bucket. The bucket, I would normally put 75% SH, 25% water. I drop the tube in there, and the thing about downstreaming that really, you can't really use it on concrete and roofs because you can't really pull a hot mix, and hot just means a higher percentage mix. So if you're, let's just say for easy numbers, you just put straight 10% SH or bleach in a bucket. No water, no nothing else. The chemical injector that I use is a 5-to-1 ratio. Meaning, when I drop that tube in there and I start to spray out the mix, it is not going to spray out 10% SH. It's only going to spit out 2% mix, because the chemical injector dilutes the chemical down to a 5-to-1 ratio, right? So 1 part bleach, 4 parts water. So 20%. And I don't really like to use ratios because it confuses me, but I asked the guy at the pressure washing store, and he said 20% of the chemical is coming out. So 20% of 10% is 2%, right? So 2. Let me say that again. So 20% of 10 is 2. Now that's 2% mix. So you don't have to put any water or anything in there like that. If you want to just use downstream concrete, like to pre-treat or post-treat some concrete that isn't really that dirty, then 2% might work. It is kind of limiting because sometimes you need a higher mix, maybe for concrete or brick or a roof. So that's why a chemical injector is very limited. But as far as doing houses like vinyl and stucco, you can get a pretty good mix because you only want to use like 1 to 1.5% SH mix when you're washing a vinyl or stucco or hardy board siding house. So it's very, very effective. It's way better than using a pump up sprayer. But it's very easy to set up, right? You just buy the chemical injector. It already comes with the tubing and the filter. You can buy more of those filters because over time the bleach will corrode them and damage them. So I usually buy 4 or 5 at a time. And I actually haven't even changed the original one yet. I might need to, but I like to have a bunch of backups just in case I'm out on the job and something goes wrong. But you just plug it in and then attach your high pressure hose into the chemical injector, and then you drop your tube in your bucket of solution, and then you just spray. That's as simple as it gets. And when you're ready to rinse, you pull the tube out. You pull the tube out of your bucket, and you spray the gun until all of the chemical or soap is out of the hose, and then you can rinse, because it does take a second for you to get all that residual chemical out of the hose after you're done downstreaming. So you pull that out, and then the pressure washer functions as normal. And by the way, you have to use a soap tip or a low pressure tip, or the downstream injector will not work. So most pressure washers have a black tip. That's for soap spraying, and that will allow you to use the chemical injector. But if you use a green tip, a red tip, a white tip, it's not going to work because it's high pressure. So I got a little twist soap sprayer tip from Walmart. It was less than $10. It's blue. You just put it on there and you could twist it and turn it, and you can shoot like 20 feet, so it works very well. You can twist it to make it like a straight shot, or twist it to open it up like a fan to spray a bigger surface. So I think that pretty much covers everything. Just make sure it goes on after the pump. So the water goes through the pump, then through the chemical injector, and then through the high pressure line to your pressure washing gun, right? So the whole point of this is to not use high pressure, because high pressure can damage a lot of property. So if you are soft washing, also known as downstreaming, you're not relying on pressure to solve your problems. You're relying on the chemical to do all the work for you. So when it comes to house washing, vinyl, stucco, hardy board, please downstream. Learn how to mix the batches, and I'll do a video on how you can mix the batches depending on the percentage of SH that you buy. Again, mine's 10.5. I use Quote IQ. They have a batch mix calculator, so you can plug in what target SH you want, and then what is the concentration of the SH you buy, and what size is your tank. I use a 5-gallon bucket, so you put you put in 5 for the bucket. If you're doing a house that's vinyl siding, you want like a 1% mix, so you plug in 1, and then whatever percentage SH you're using, right? Mine's 10.5, so it'll tell you how much water and how much SH to put in your bucket to downstream. It is a slower method, and eventually I'm going to upgrade my equipment and get longer hoses, so I don't have to drag around my machine around houses and drag around all these hoses. But right now, that's how I'm doing it, and it's working. I've made way more money in the first month and a half of being in business than I ever thought I would. So the downstream injector, also known as a chemical injector, has made a world of a difference. So hopefully this answers all your questions, and if you have any more questions, please leave a comment. If you want any future videos to be done, let me know. Again, my name's Joe. My business is called Joe Allen Pressure Washing LLC. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.